Hi everyone. Today we are going to do direct and indirect speech. Now, from the word speech itself, you can make out that it involves speaking, it involves dialogue, and it involves a conversation. So, what direct speech is? Direct speech is when you have one on one conversation with someone, or when you quote the exact same words of the speaker, we call it direct speech. Whereas it becomes indirect speech when we do not quote the exact same words, but we make the necessary changes and we just use the part of that speech or the sentence. We call it indirect speech. Another thing which you have to keep in mind is that direct speech can be in any tense, whereas indirect speech will always be in the past tense. There are a few cases or rules in which we do not change the tense of the sentence, which we will cover in the later part of the video. But you have to keep this thing in mind that direct speech can be in any tense, whereas indirect speech will always change to past tense. In most of the cases, it will change to past tense, barring two cases, which we will cover later. Now, you can see example number one. He said, I am playing, and he said that he was playing. So, what are the major changes you can notice in these two sentences? Yes, in the first sentence, we can clearly see that the dialogue or the speech, reported speech, is written within the double quotes. I am playing is the reported speech, which is within the double quotes. Whereas in the second statement, there are no double quotes and there is no comma. Instead, we've used the conjunction that. Another thing which we can notice is in the first sentence, our reported speech is in the present tense, that is present continuous, whereas our second sentence is in the past tense, that is past continuous, right? So he said I am playing clearly begins he said that he was playing. Another example, if I consider, she said I am painting becomes she said that she was painting. One more example, he said I did this exercise last night. See, in this sentence, we are doing some minor changes. Just notice that he said that he had done that exercise the previous night. So, some minor changes here, some major changes here, whereas we did some minor changes in the previous sentences, but here we can clearly notice there are some major changes we are doing. We'll cover it in the rules, how we are changing it. Now, the last example says, the inspector said, I am glad to be with you today. Here also, we are doing some major changes. The inspector said that he was glad to be with me that day. Now, how are we changing these sentences? For that, we have to keep certain things in mind. Let us cover that. What changes did you notice? Now, number one, that in indirect speech, you've not used any commas or you've not used there's no that, and there is the change of a pronoun, and also there's a change of a tense, right? So what is direct speech? Direct speech is basically in which we use the exact words of the speaker. For example, the teacher said to Rajesh, you have a bright future. So you have a bright future is written within the double quotes or inverted commas, so we can say that it is direct speech. Whereas indirect speech is when you do not use the exact same words, but you use just the part of that sentence. Same example we'll consider, the teacher told Rajesh that he had a bright future. Now, why told here? Because in the previous sentence there was said to. Always keep this thing in mind. If it is not a question or if it is not an imperative sentence, then said to will change to told, right? And if it is not an normal tense ending with a full stop, then said to will change to told. That is why the teacher said to Rajesh, you have a bright future, becomes the teacher told Rajesh that he had a bright future. Now, changes of tense. Now, what changes we are making in the tenses? Now, if you're reporting verb, now what is reporting verb? In the direct sentence, said is our reporting verb. SAID, said, is the reporting verb in the direct speech statement. if it is in the present or the future tense, then the tense remains the same in the indirect speech. There is no change in the tense. Let us consider an example. My friends say he is very handsome. Now, say is what? The first form of said, or the present form of said, right? So, we will make no changes in the reported speech, which is he is very handsome, will remain in the present tense only. So it will be, my friends say that he is very handsome. Note this thing, he is very handsome. He, although it's written capital, but H will be small here. So it will be, my friends say that he is very handsome. Same tense. Another example of future tense, let us consider when the reporting verb is in future tense. My granny will say you need to eat well. Now will say is what? Reported verb is in future tense. So again we don't have to make any changes in the reported speech. My granny will say that you need to eat well. Same sentence, no change in the tense. This you have to remember. Now another important thing now other in the are to change the tense always and always to the past tense, as I told you. So what are the changes you're going to remember? That simple present becomes simple past. Simple present will always change to simple past. That is, the first form of the verb will change to the second form of the verb. If it is go, it will become went. If it is drink, it will become drank. If it is catch, it will become caught, and so on. Let us consider an example first. The girl said the flower is pretty. The girl said that the flower was pretty. See, is pretty becomes was pretty. Is pretty is simple present tense. So simple present becomes simple past. Next type, present continuous becomes past continuous. As I told you, direct speech can be in any tense, but indirect speech will always be in the past tense. So present continuous will change to past continuous. For example, the old man said, the rain is falling very heavily, will change and become, the old man said that the rain was falling very heavily. Other rules let us do now. Present perfect becomes past perfect. Present perfect is with has, have, and third, whereas past perfect is with had and third form of the verb. Example, the principal said all the students have passed. The principal said that all the students had passed. See, had is used for both, for singular as well as for plural. Now, simple past, another rule says the simple past will change to past perfect. That means second form of the verb will change to the third form with had. Example, Rohan said Sheetal arrived yesterday. Arrived is the second form of the verb. So it will become had arrived. Now yesterday will also change to the previous day or the day before. So that also you have to keep in mind. Now models change into their past forms. For example, he said she can dance. He said that she could dance. So can will change to could. Will changes to would. Shall changes to should and also to would sometimes. Then may changes to might and so on. So these changes you have to keep in mind. To personal pronouns, how are you going to change the personal pronoun? If it is I, how are you going to change that? If it is she, it like how you're going to make the changes there. So this we will cover in the next video. Thank you.